Good morning, everyone. It's Bruce Westfield coming to you live, Grind Workshop Podcast, where you are motivated and inspired to be the best version of yourself. I'm so excited to be here with you today on this beautiful Monday morning. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever the day of the week it is for you. I hope that you find value in this episode today. Today, I am honored and privileged to be here on this platform, and I just enjoy adding value to lives each and every day. You know, there was a day I would wake up in the morning and I would say, man, what is today going to bring? What is the challenge today? And it got to a point where I would ask that question and the negativity would brew because I was so mad about whatever season I was in my life. And I don't know about you, but I've had some seasons where I didn't want to wake up. I've had seasons where I've had the best mornings, the best weeks, and I hope and pray and believe that today you wake up with joy. I hope that you wake up happy, and I hope you wake up ready to take your thinking to the next level. Okay? Coffee today. Today, I am back on my Cameron's grind today. You know, Cameron's, it's one of my faithful brands. I always say it. I always talk about the coffee today, and I was drinking Rev back last week. And I go on back and forth between the brands, but today I want to drink Cameron's because it's got that smooth taste to it. And it is dark roast, so I'm going to go ahead and get this sip really quick. Woo! Man! Woo! That'll wake you up. Anyway, today, first I want to let you guys know we're going to be talking about a topic called living in obscurity. Okay, living in obscurity. I had to really take a moment and take a step back and think about this one because there were parts of my life, or there's a lot of parts of my life where I felt like I've been living in obscurity, preparing myself for the next level. And sometimes those times where I was in obscurity, they lasted much longer than I anticipated. You know, I'm thinking, well, maybe if I do this or if I do that, I'll be here. And it'll take me a few weeks. And a few weeks took a few years. And because of those few years, I had frustration, I had anger, I had doubts, I was lacking confidence. But it was in the midst of obscurity where I was able to develop those thoughts, those things, those habits, those mindsets, those things that I thought were good, but I was able to transform it into helping me build towards my future. And that's my hope for you today. I want to talk to you and tell you quickly what the true definition of what obscurity is. Obscurity, from my notes, is the state of being unknown, inconspicuous, or unimportant. Let me say it again. The state of being unknown, inconspicuous, or unimportant. I look at being in obscurity as being in a waiting room. You know, when you go to the hospital, the waiting room there can cause a lot of people to be fearful because you don't know exactly what kind of news you're going to get when you're in the waiting room. Whether you're at the waiting room waiting for somebody that you love, when your loved ones, they've gotten an operation, or you go and get an evaluation to find out if you have something, or you're looking to get good news. You know, some people, they get good or bad news. That's what you do when you're in the waiting room. And it's what you do and what you think when you are there in that place. Some people, they have their doubts, they have their worries, they have their lack of confidence, they have their no reassurances. You know, it's where you do your toughest work. It's where you are in the trenches and you're fighting. You have to fight through negative thoughts, negativity. You have to fight through bad circles of friends and family. And you're trying to put yourself in this place where you know you can be successful if you just do certain things. So I want to talk about 2 points that address being and living in obscurity. First point is, number 1, evaluated reflection. You know, it's easy to go through life. It's easy to be in certain places certain places in your life where if you go from location to location and you never look back on how you became what you are, who you are, or who's contributed, who's added value, who's devalued you over the course of your life, who's caused you the most pain. And people say they reflect, but a lot of times it's not productive. And I believe that when you take the time to do evaluative reflection, you have to develop good questions. And good questions stem from when I was talking a few weeks ago about your thinking capacity. Sometimes your thinking capacity can have you ask yourself, can I? The can I questions, they don't lead to the answers that you may want. And I told you the questions that you need to ask is, how can I? And that's much more important than just reflecting and thinking about and replaying in your head on this is what happened in this situation, and instead of how did it happen? How did that happen? How did I let that person talk to me like that? How did I allow myself to get in a place where I wasn't confident enough to step up when I should have stepped up to the plate and I didn't have it in me to do it? What was in me that was causing me not to perform at the level that I wanted to perform at? Or what's blocking me from getting the clients that I want to have? What are the roadblocks? I've had to ask myself those questions quite a bit. And I want to share a story with you. When I was working at a company, I was working in sales. And for those people that work in sales, you know what I'm saying. A lot of times promotions do come up and they will send the internal message to the employees, hey, this position's coming up. Those that are interested, they should apply. Well, I applied for this position the first time. I worked at the company about 6 months. And my manager said, hey, I really think that you'd be a really good manager. I think that you should apply. And part of me was saying, I don't know if I should apply. I don't know if I have what it takes. I haven't been here that long. I don't know if I have the skill sets to be a good manager because I've never been in a managing position. And most of it was just a lack of confidence. But she assured me and she told me, hey, I think you have it, apply. So I applied. I went in, I had 4 managers, actually not managers, but directors. They interviewed me and they said, hey, we like what you have to offer, but we want you to be here another 6 months to see what you do. And in that moment, I felt rejected. I said, man, okay, they say I'm not good enough yet. So then I applied a second time, 6 months later. But this time the circumstances were different. I was on a bad team. I was not performing at the level that I wanted to be at. And yet I had a new manager who we just weren't connecting. But I still applied. And I had a vice president that was in there. This was the time where the vice presidents were taking over the interview process. And let me tell you, it was very intimidating to be in that room. I was sweating and I was not confident. I left. I got the news back a couple of days later. I didn't get it. So I said, okay, well, maybe I might not have gotten it this time, but maybe the next time I apply. I applied again the third time. Same people in the room. And the look on their face, I'm looking as I'm answering the questions, I can tell it's not going very well. And when I recognized it wasn't going well, that's when I started losing confidence. I started stumbling over my words and I started to sweat and I lost it. I walked out that room and I said, I didn't get it. So I left. The fourth opportunity came. I didn't apply. I didn't apply because my previous history showed that when I applied or when I interviewed, the same people looked at me in the eye and they knew I didn't have the confidence to do it. Now, I had all the skills to do all the other things, but I didn't have the confidence, and I did not know it in that time that I was lacking the confidence because I didn't take the time to do an evaluation on myself. What was I missing? All I was doing was, hey, I'm gonna just cast my net out there and see what happens. But a year went by. I said, I've worked on myself all this time. I've gone from a bad team to a new team, and I've helped revise that team, and I helped the new manager help revise the other people in the team. Maybe, there is a new confidence about me. I'm going to apply. So I applied. I interviewed. I believe I killed the interview. And I found out I got it this time. You can't imagine the joy that I had knowing that by me just interviewing this fourth time, I had to go back to the other 3 times that I interviewed. And the common denominator was, I just wasn't ready. And there comes a point in time where you have to be honest with yourself. When you were pursuing the thing that you wanted, when you were pursuing the clients, when you were pursuing the management position, when you were trying to get to that next level, what were you missing? But in order to ask yourself, what were you missing? You have to go back. You have to go layer by layer. What was going on with me during that season of my life? What was happening? Who was depositing things in me? Was I in a negative space? Was I in a positive space? What was going on with me? I had to ask myself those questions. So I came to some conclusions on a few things when I was doing my evaluating reflection. Number one, I had to be intentional about what I was doing. I had to be intentional. I was intentional about dissecting what was going on with me. Because before I applied the 4th time, I had to be honest with myself. What's different about you now versus a couple years ago? I haven't been tested. I haven't been tried. I haven't been in situations where my patience was being tested. I haven't been in a position where somebody else had what I wanted and I knew I was better than they were, but I had to humble myself enough to say, I'm just going to go about the business and help them while I'm still working on myself. And when I get to the position where I can go and do it myself, I have the background, I have the resume to be able to do it, and I have the people who can vouch for me and say, yep, he did it. He did it. And he can do it at the next level. And then the second thing I had to stop doing was I had to stop taking myself so serious. You have people that take themselves so serious that they talk and walk themselves out of opportunities and positions that they are fully qualified for, but yet it's just something about them that it's just too uptight and they're not able to connect with people on the journey. And they take things so serious where they can do it, but they might not be that successful at doing it because you got to be relaxed and in a position where you can relate to people when you are being so genuine and authentic about your next level. I had to learn that. It was when I stopped taking myself too serious where people start to really relate to me and connect with me, and they saw who I really was. That was hard. Okay. Point number 2. You have to evaluate your environment. I said it, yes. Evaluate your environment. When I look at the place that I was at in San Diego, I was comfortable. In fact, I had very little challenges after I left that sales job. I thought I was on the path to creating a platform that would motivate and inspire singles and marriages. I had a platform called Marriage Grind, and this, I am going back to that. Marriage Grind is going to be back up and running soon. But there was a part of me that said, how are you going to create this platform if you can't put yourself in an environment to create, to have, and do your best thinking? Because if you want to be able to do your best thinking and take everything that you want to do to that next level, you have to check your environment. You have to get around the right people. But the problem is, I didn't know the right people. I didn't know who to be around. Yeah, I had guys like, I had a friend named Philip. I had a guy named Daniel. I had guys that would come with me and record, and they would help me to create my content, and we would go and do all the things and preparing to do the shoot and everything. But who else did I have? My wife was supportive. My wife was very loving. My kids, I would go and get inspiration for them, but who else could I get that environment from that would help me take my thinking to the next level? Who believed enough in my vision? Who believed enough in what I was thinking to help me get me where I wanted to be? And then it came to me. San Diego may not be the place. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and that's when it hit me. You know, Bruce, strip it all down. Go back to Chicago. I went back to Chicago, moved close to my in-laws. I was able to take a basement that was unfinished, and I created it into my own. I created my own environment. I created my own studio. And then, as I started creating my own studio and I created all the other things, that's when the thoughts, the ideas, my best thinking started happening. And then I got connected with some wonderful people that I would have never connected with in San Diego. And they started connecting with people in circles that would take me to a whole new level. Sometimes it's about the location that you're in. Sometimes it's about the city. Sometimes it's about the place, the state of mind that you're in. And you have to check that. And you have to guard that with all of your heart. Why? Because sometimes you gotta admit, what you may have created here may not work here. And that is important. When you are creating and trying to be the best version of yourself, you have to get into an environment where you can do your best thinking and you can really have those honest discussions with yourself so you can strip down and get down to the bare of who you are so you can be the best version of yourself. When I left San Diego, that was tough, but it was necessary. Anything that you want to do in your life, it is necessary for you to create the changes so you can be where you want to be in your life. Whether that's getting around positive people who build you up and edify you and mold and shape you with their words or with their actions, versus being around negative people, even spectators who you think are supporting you, and they're supporting you with the occasional pat on the back, or they're supporting you by, maybe looking at your video, and yet they don't support you doing anything else. I want to tell those people who are on social media is a platform. It is a platform. But don't forget this. You are a platform. Your life is a platform. Your life is constantly being looked at by different people over and over again. How you're forming, how you're growing, how you're developing. People are judging you every day. And it doesn't matter if they look. But I want you to know and understand this. The value of you understanding that your life is a platform should mean that you should be going after it every single day. Trying to create the best environment you can for you to be able to be the best version of yourself. So that way when people look at you, you don't have to find value in how they look at you. You've already discovered the value in yourself because you recognize the importance of valuing yourself, being the best version of who you are, so you can produce the best. And that's what it's about. Took me all this time to come to that revelation. I don't need to find value in the way people think about me or what they say about me. I create my own value. And that right there, that's your platform. That's your platform. So, man, love it today, man. I hope that you found the value in what I talked about in living in obscurity and the importance of being in obscurity and the waiting room process. It's not easy. If you want to find out what's going on with me and get value each and every day, you can find me on all my social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, it's the same. It's at I am Bruce Westfield. I'll say it again, it's at I am Bruce Westfield. If you want to find out what's going on with me and the John Maxwell team and how I'm adding value to people, doing mastermind groups, leadership trainings, you can go to www.johnmaxwellgroup.com/Bruce Westfield. All right. Last thing is, if you are a person that wants to have that growth mindset, you want to take your thinking to the next level, or you want to get more support from people who are like-minded just like yourself, go on Facebook and find Grind Workshop and go ahead and click that join button. You'll be asked to answer a question. And hopefully, if you want to get value each and every day, we will add you and we will challenge you to help you to work towards being the best version of yourself. I want to thank all of you for joining me on this episode of the Grind Workshop Podcast. I want you also, for the new listeners, for the new viewers, to go ahead and click that subscribe button on wherever podcast platform that you are listening to me on, or whether that is on Facebook as well too. You can go on my Facebook page and like me, and you can also go on YouTube and click that subscribe button as well. Thank you for joining me. I love you guys. I appreciate you today. Hope you go and be the best version of yourself. Go forth. Go conquer the day. I'll see you next week.